Okay, we've got an urgent briefing for you today. There's a major storm, Typhoon Kamegi, heading for Thailand. And folks, it's expected to bring a ton of rain and affect millions. So, let's break down exactly what's coming, when it's coming, and where.
All right, let's jump right in. We're going to start with the official alert. Then we'll track this storm's journey across Southeast Asia. After that, we'll pinpoint the exact regions in Thailand that really need to be on high alert. We'll also get into why a storm like this is so strange for this time of year, how it's going to impact the flooding that's already happening, and then we'll wrap up with a clear summary on how to get prepared. So let's get right to it. The main concern here isn't just a little bit of bad weather. No, we're looking at an official, multi-day alert for what could be some seriously heavy rainfall across the whole upper half of the country. And this is the message, straight from the Thai Meteorological Department. This is their 7th announcement about this storm, which tells you just how serious they're taking it. The warning is crystal clear: heavy to very heavy rain. So what are we dealing with right now? Well, sitting out there in the South China Sea, Kalmaegi is a full-blown typhoon. And just look at those wind speeds, 175 kilometers per hour near the center. That is a powerful, organized storm, and it's churning its way west, right toward us. Now, let's track how this system is actually going to get to Thailand, because its journey over land is going to totally change what it is, but that doesn't mean it gets any less dangerous. Okay, this is really interesting. Watch how it transforms. It's going to hit Vietnam tonight as a typhoon. Then, as it moves over the land through Laos, it loses those high winds and it gets downgraded. But here's the real kicker. By the time it gets to Thailand on November 7th, it might just be a low-pressure system, but it's carrying an enormous amount of moisture. It basically trades its wind for water. And that brings us to maybe the most critical part of this whole briefing. Where is all that water going to go? Let's break this down day by day so you know exactly what to expect. So things are going to start kicking off tomorrow, November 7th. The storm makes its grand entrance into Thailand right through the northeast, and that region is predicted to get hit with the most intense rain right from the get-go. And these 9 provinces, they are directly in the crosshairs for very heavy rain on day 1. If you're in any of these places, this is your heads up. We're talking about rainfall that could easily reach 100 to 150 millimeters. That's a lot of water. And wow, this just shows you how widespread this thing is, even on the first day. The Northeast is getting the worst of it, for sure, but there are heavy rain alerts out for provinces all over the place. In the north, the Central Plains, including Bangkok, the east, and even down in parts of the south. Okay, moving on to November 8th. The storm's focus, it shifts. The heavy rain is going to move and spread out, affecting a huge new part of the country. So the key thing to know for the 8th is that the threat moves right into the north, and it stays put over the central region. We're talking an impact zone that stretches all the way from Chiang Mai up north, down through the Central Plains, and covering Bangkok yet again. For a lot of these places, this will be the day with the heaviest rainfall. All right. As we hit the last day of the main alert period, November 9th, the system is finally going to start weakening. But, and this is a big but, don't let your guard down just yet, because its remnants are still going to be a big deal for the upper parts of Thailand. You see, even though it's losing steam, the system will still be strong enough to dump significant, heavy rain on these northern and northeastern provinces. The danger doesn't just flip off like a light switch, it hangs around. So you've got to stay vigilant right through the 9th. Now, we have to talk about the timing of all this, because a storm this big arriving now, it's just not normal. And that's what makes Kalmaegi a really big deal. I mean, that's the real question, isn't it? November is supposed to be the start of winter in Thailand. You know, the weather is meant to be cooling off, drying out. So to have a typhoon remnant show up and bring these tropical downpours, it's just really, really weird. And the answer, it's been nearly 3 decades, almost 30 years since a storm with this kind of path and timing has hit Thailand during what's supposed to be the dry season. This isn't a once-in-a-decade thing. For many, it's a once-in-a-generation event. This next part, this is where things get really concerning. All of this rain isn't falling on dry ground that can soak it up. No, it's about to fall on a landscape that is already completely saturated, and in many places is already flooding. Just look at this comparison. On the left, that's the reality right now. The Chao Phraya Dam is already letting out huge amounts of water, and low-lying areas are underwater. Now look to the right.
That's what Kalmaegi is about to add to the mix, a massive new dose of water that the ground just can't absorb. It creates a huge risk for new flash floods and could push those already swollen rivers right over their banks. And to make this even more real, just think about this number. More than 2,000 homes are already flooded right now in just one district, Sapaya, because an embankment broke. And that's the situation before a single drop of rain from Kamegi has even fallen. So, after laying all that out, what do we do? Let's boil this all down to the most important warnings and the official advice on how to prepare. Okay, here are 4 direct, simple steps. First, stay plugged in. Keep an eye on the official announcements. Second, if you live in a low-lying area or one that's known to be at risk, you have to be ready for flash floods. And for steps 3 and 4, this is for anyone on the water. The Andaman Sea is going to see waves of 2-3 meters, maybe higher. All ships need to be extra cautious, and small boats, you have to stay ashore, period. So we've tracked the storm, we've identified the high-risk zones, and we understand the really dangerous context of the flooding that's already happening. We laid out the forecast and the warnings. I guess the only question left is for all of us in the path of this storm to really think about and to act on. Please stay safe out there.